Both teams started off in a 4-3-3. Look at Spain, we got Unai Simon in goal. We got Marco Corella as the fullback, Nacho, Lee Normand, Carvajal, Rodri was the pivot. We got Fabian Ruiz and Pedri. And for the forwards, we got Lamal, Morata as the striker, Nico Williams, the left winger. For Croatia, we got Livakovic in goal, Stanisic, Sotalo, Mongrisic, Guardiola, Brozovic, Modric, Kovacic, Majer, Budimir, Kramaric. Now, when the match started, Spain were pressing high and they had about 70% possession. Around the 10th minute, there was a change of tactic and Spain decided not to press so high in order to let Croatia have a little bit more of the possession. Once they did that, they had enough space to attack the back line of Croatia, and that's how the goals started coming. And so Spain, their possession fell from 70 to 46%, and so Croatia had more possession. If we look at the shots at the end of the match, Spain had about a total of 11 shots, Croatia had 16. Shots on target, Spain 5, Croatia 5. And the surprising thing here is that even though Spain won 3-0, they had an XG of 1.9 and Croatia had an XG of 2.5. If you look at how Spain built up, it was a build-up of these two guys and a single pivot over here. So the build-up was between these three guys. And Croatia pressed them with one guy over here. Croatia, they had a very pragmatic press and they weren't really pressing so high at the start of the game. If sometimes they did press high, and Spain did form a double pivot with Fabian Ruiz dropping deep, Modric at times would press him. Still, at the end of the day, it was a very, very pragmatic press, and Spain did have enough chances to get the ball forward. Croatia's strategy was basically to form a man-to-man press, and so this guy was mostly on Rodri, Modric on Fabian Ruiz, and if Pedri was somewhere around here, the third midfielder of Croatia, he would jump in. Their tactic basically was to not let Spain build up through this area, the central area. And that's why Spain only had about 20% of their build up through here. And they had to go mostly on the wings over here through Nico Williams or Lamine Yamal. And so Spain, they had about 40 to 45% of their build up through this area from the left side, and about 30 to 35% through this area through Lamine Yamal. Whenever Lamine Yamal got the ball, Guardiola was on him. He did try to do that feint. Initially, it didn't work. Eventually, it did, but it was under very different circumstances, which we'll talk about right now. Initially, what Spain tried to do was to build overloads on this side of the pitch. And once they did that, Lamine Yamal was the guy over here isolated. And, they could switch that long ball over here to get him into a 1v1 with Guardiola. Carvajal wasn't going to bomb forward, either tucking in or overlapping. He was just here so that if Yamal doesn't succeed in dribbling past Guardiola, he can pass it back and they can have triangular formation over here so that they can attack this part of the pitch. But after the 10th minute, what Spain did was there was a really spectacular tactic that not many people saw. But they decided to, instead of pressing high, they decided to fall back into this 4-4-2 sort of a situation. They deliberately went back, and once they went back and Croatia started coming forward, we had this huge gap over here, which Spain decided to exploit. Lamine Yamal, who was the fourth defender in this line of 4 and 4, he would bomb forward. They would play these long switches. And we saw that in Fabian Ruiz's goal, where Yamal was isolated with Guardiola and they went for a 1v1. And then, Yamal dribbled with an in-cut over here. Ruiz was over here. They eventually got this breakthrough and they scored. And while Spain were exploiting Croatia's space over here, they didn't just look to exploit it through Yamal on this side. They also looked to exploit it from this side as well because the central areas were blocked. What they did was that instead of Nico Williams hugging the touchline, he was drifting in. And once the through balls were passed to the central areas, he made these runs behind the line. And once he got behind the lines, obviously there was a lot of attacking options. Their main idea basically was to sort of counterattack, and that is why their possession numbers went down. Once Nico Williams had the strategy of tucking in, this space had to be exploited as well. Either the center back was gonna run after him or the fullback. So, Spain caused this confusion with Nico Williams' speed. And so when this area was left wide open, Marc Cucurella would exploit that zone. And from here, he would make these crosses inside. Now, while Spain did exploit Croatia's back line, they did run into trouble. And that was because if Cucurella is going to be up high, Carvajal is the defensive guy. He did end up scoring the third goal, by the way. He's not all the way back here. He's here to basically link up with Lamal. And so once he's here and Cucurella's here, and when Spain lose the ball, there's obviously a lot of room for Croatia to transition because Spain just have these three guys at the back. And once that happened, Croatia did exploit Spain's back line, except the only problem was they didn't have finishers like they used to have a couple of years back. So that's why, they couldn't really finish off the chances, but they did exploit Spain's back line. And therefore, for the next games against tougher teams, while Spain did finish off their chances, Morata did play well, Pedri played well, Fabian Ruiz as well, and Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal. A team like France or England or any other top team, Spain will have trouble against them and they will exploit the weaknesses in Spain's structure. Luis de la Fuente, he'll probably have to tweak his tactics.